Hey, everybody, welcome back. It is Monday, and that means it is by the sword time. I have with me the usual valiant adventurers, those stalwart sellswords, those gold hungry hooligans of the savage world. Uh, to my immediate left is Igor. Igor, you want to it's been a while since we're back. You want to tell the people about your character.
The name's Igor, the barbarian hailing from the Kruok region.
And to his left is Lacaldo.
Hukaldo is a mage from Vancia who is the smartest of the group. But that doesn't mean much because there are a lot of smart people in the group. Luckily, he is the healer in the group. Otherwise, they might not like him tagging along.
Excellent. And as we wind around, we have Aeskir.
Aeskir is a thief. He is also a gambling man. He hails from the north.
Excellent, excellent. That brings us to Orvar.
Orvar is also from the north, a frost barbarian. He's a warden. He carries death on little pointy sticks.
He's got a price on his head.
Yeah.
And bringing us down to the end, last but not least, Drogo.
I am also from the north, and I am the group's beastmaster.
Excellent. And what is your beast?
Badger.
What is
But he's a cool badger.
What is your badger's
Bob
name?
the Badger.
Bob, spelled in probably the Celtic way. All right, cool. So when we last left off, you had all returned from the Isle of the Eye and slipped into several weeks of wenching and whining, and in Lacaldo's case, doing some research, getting into some trouble, in fact. Igor, you ran afoul of the law.
Yeah, I used bad judgment that day.
Exactly. And I think you dragged Orvar in with you a little bit, but
Yeah.
Aeskir, you seem to stay out of trouble, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I pulled out of my games before I lost too much gold. So, and before I aroused anyone's suspicions as to my skills with the dice.
Excellent. All right. And Drogo, what were you doing for those couple of weeks?
Kind of just laying low, not really doing much.
All right. I imagine the city is probably a little unnerving.
Not my favorite place. It's
well, as your coin dwindles and you find yourselves back where you began before returning with your well-gotten, not ill-gotten, but well-gotten gains. Your encounter with the matron and her bodyguard in the street doesn't seem to have produced any echoes, though you have seen them from time to time, just in passing as you stumble about the city. Lacaldo, during your research times and your, kind of networking around through various holy folks and bribing your way in to see manuscripts amongst the rich and famous of the city, you've seen that very familiar sedan chair being carried about with that stalwart Northman at the front of the procession. The city seems to now be even more full of people than it was when you first arrived several weeks ago. You figure actually almost a month ago at this point with your sea travels and back and all of that. Crowded with wintering merchants, wintering soldiers, and then the throng of other ne'er-do-wells who kind of come along with that, all the camp followers who now have nowhere to be, and those people who would take advantage of an influx of population. It seems like there is an endless flow of cut purses and pickpockets, charlatans. Um, there are little encampments anywhere there's some open space. And as quickly as the city guard can dispatch them, they reappear somewhere else. Abandoned buildings that you had seen empty when you first arrived are now pressed thick with people sheltering from the winter. Snow is an ever-present issue now. I mean, it's not just a little bit. The north is truly full on into winter at this point. And we find you there. What are you guys doing?
Well, I've been grumbling for at least a day or two about needing to go find more treasure, more lore. We need to find a job that is going to get us some coins. I have some leads, but I want to know what you guys have found out as far as prospects for more adventure.
Well, we could try and if you remember that gang that attacked us when we first met, I found out about some of their operations. We could try and relieve them of some of their profits.
Don't they kind of own the whole city?
Well, they're not the only bunch of cutthroats and bandits around.
Well, there's a
if we
few
do
in
it
this room, yeah.
discreetly, if we do it discreetly, they might not even know it was us.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think that'll be the fastest way to earn money, I think, is by just taking it from somebody else. And if we could also help out the local businesses here by getting rid of their threat, that's 2 in 1.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything they want to add to that, or?
Well, I don't know if subtlety is quite our forte, so I question our ability to get in and out unnoticed or mistaken for somebody else.
Yeah, and I'm also afraid that even if we did kill all of these rats, there's 1,000 more rats. Kind of like the people flooding the city right now. There's going to be somebody that feels we're not going to protect them for long unless we set ourselves up as the new controlling factor in this neighborhood. That's kind of what I'm saying.
What's your idea for a job, Lucaldo? You said you had an idea that would fit me or any of these other warriors.
Well, there's a seer out of town that I visited once or twice. He's out of town, which I'm sure Drogo wouldn't mind getting out of the city.
I've had about enough of this place.
A few of the rest of you, I'm sure, are tired of it. He's not brought up jobs per se, but I would think that somebody in his position at least knows of interesting things to go look for. And kind of like our last adventure, we just pick up things along the way. I don't know of anybody except for maybe the sorcerer that we could actually just show up on their doorstep and say, give us a job.
I'm not convinced we should do that. I think we should just go and use our collective strength and go rough up that gang that they were talking about.
Yeah. They run some
And
gambling
we don't have to
houses
go
and
anywhere.
stuff.
We're already here.
Yeah.
We know where we can sleep at night. We know where sources of food are, and all that's going to take is planning. We just need to plan a way where we can get away with that.
Yeah.
We
They
can't
run
just
some
walk straight
gambling
up.
houses.
Can't just walk
We can
straight into
stake
their
one out.
house,
Yeah.
right?
They run
We
a bunch
gotta-
of gambling houses. We stake one out. We check it out. When most of the customers are gone and they're tallying up their winnings, we go in, we bash them on the head. We take the money. We go. Nobody knows who we are. Nobody knows we were there. And we have their money.
Not only that, but if we do this for particular people in town, we could gain favor with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
If we pick a specific side, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Besides, robbing a criminal isn't really illegal anyway, right?
That's what I was thinking. Back where I come from, it's that's how we distribute justice.
I have a bone to pick with the Owls. So they started it. I feel it's only fair to we finish it.
Yeah, I'm not too fond of what they had planned for us. So a little retribution, maybe not the burn and scatter end goal, but certainly go grab some payback. I'm good for that.
Okay, so
I'm on
maybe
board.
the first thing we should try is getting some plain clothes on and just casually walking down the street, far apart from each other, looking out around the front of their establishment. Try to get an idea of who's coming in and out, who the people are. Figure out who lives there, who doesn't. And if possible, find out what they're into. Once we get some information like that, we can set them up.
Well,
like
we
you said-
certainly know that they're into kidnapping or whatever they
Yeah.
wanted to do with us.
Yeah. Well, they will often try to kidnap fighting men, from what I've understood through overheard conversations, to sell them to the arenas.
Yeah, lovely.
I say, been there, done that, and I'm not going back there.
Well, that could probably be a good way, Igor, to do both things that you wanted. If we were to find their marks and save a few people from the arena, we've got our people that are already grateful to us. We don't have to talk to the shopkeepers unless they happen to be one of the people trying to be thrown to the wolves.
Oh,
If
so
they're already-
if I
they're already fighting
understand
men.
correctly, you're saying that if we save people from getting the arena punishment, then they will be in debt to us and work for us?
Well, I don't know about debts and working, but they will at least we will gain favor with those people if they've got any type of brains whatsoever.
Well, I also think if they're fighting men and we free some of them, we'll have basically a possible de facto army.
Mhm.
People that will
Yeah.
help us.
I think
Take
we
the
want
fight
to
to
avoid.
them.
I think we want to avoid talking to shopkeepers because some of
Yeah.
them will be in league with the oils. Remember that
Yeah,
tavern
they were
we
all
went
nice to us. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
we
you
could be
find
tipping
that
our
out
hand without
through
knowing.
you find that out through spending time around these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other problem with talking to shopkeepers is we kind of announce that we're the people helping. And that gets back to other people. So if we just helping random people and tell them to get the heck out of Dodge, get out of town, you know, like you said, try to hide who we are.
If someone was
Is
a
Dodge
victim if someone were a victim to those crimes, their chances of being in league with them are probably low. So we look for those guys.
Is
Who
Dodge a
has-
town in Vancia, and why would people want to get out of it?
What was that?
I said, is Dodge a town in Vancia, and why do people want to get out of it?
It's a phrase. It doesn't translate very well into this speech.
Okay.
Yeah. So, continue.
Well,
Okay.
I'm already, as you said, in normal clothes. I don't wear armor, but I agree with you. Walking around in brigandine is a little bit of an announcement that you're at least worth.
Or it could be this
noting.
kite shield I have on my left arm too.
Just for some framing, in a city full of wintering soldiers and mercenaries, somebody walking around in armor is not going to set off any alarm bells. So
Okay.
the tower shield might be a little bit odd.
Especially when you see it around your establishment often.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just wearing your armor around is not going to tip anything off. I mean, not that everybody is wearing armor, but it is a city full of soldiers right now, soldiers and fighters.
Well, if we want to free some of their slaves, I don't know where they keep them, but I'm sure we could track it through the by casing one of their gambling dens and seeing where their crew goes to and from, and if they drag people, because I've seen some people get dragged away because they couldn't pay their debts. So if we see them drag people away, we can discreetly follow, find out where they bring them, see if that's where they keep slaves until they're sold to the arenas.
Well, some of them I would think would go to a debtor's prison, but you're right. If they've got any type of value in the arena or as a slave, yeah.
Now, these people
that's
don't
a
seem
good
to be
idea.
doing stuff very legit, so they might not use the official means of recovering their debts.
Well, I'm game. What's the plan?
One of the things that I also want to find is a ship to put everybody on.
Mhm.
We need to get our own ship eventually with our own crew. We could make that our base of operations and go all over the place.
Mhm.
Right now, the seas haven't the bay hasn't iced over yet, so you should be fine there.
Well, I'm more fond of horses than the sea, but that's a good goal. There
You know
are
how
three
powerful we would be if we had like a group of soldiers and a ship. Look out, world.
You just want a
Mhm.
pirate's hat, don't you?
Well, I'm looking at the number of gold we could find. That's
Well,
the way I'm thinking about it.
The biggest haul we've found so far has been over the horizon. And if that had been our boat, we would have kept that pearl for good or bad. I mean, that pearl scared the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Well, let's go build our army one person at a time.
Cue the
Okay.
A-Team music.
I'm gonna get up, go outside, and see if I can find a bird, a normal, non-attention drawing bird.
Even with it being winter, there are some birds trying to winter over in the city, up under the eaves and stuff, and in the barns and stuff. You know, those birds that are too stupid to find warmer climate.
Yeah, you don't want the stupid ones.
Because I can now have two companions. I'm going to make one my companion talk to it and
Okay.
stuff.
All right.
Now we have a scout that will be less obvious.
All right. So we'll say you find yourself like a swallow or a dove or something, or a pigeon, um, something urban. I mean, there's plenty of fowl. Like you could steal somebody's chicken or something, but
No.
Yeah, you don't want a goose. Somebody's going to cook it.
I figure the same thing had happened with a chicken too. I mean, people eat pigeons, but it's
yeah.
usually not the first choice.
But no, you're able to find and easily find and bond with some sort of city bird. I'll let you decide what kind of bird it is.
A pigeon is fine. They're,
So you have a badger and a pigeon now. So
yeah, and I'll come back in and say that we have our scout.
That is very useful.
This looks more like dinner, Drogo. Are you kidding?
No.
Oh,
Find
that
your
would
own
just
dinner.
be an appetizer for you, Igor.
Find
You're
your
more
own
into
dinner.
Fish. Yeah, attack geese are merciless.
just a quick question: where are you guys having this conversation? At a local inn, or in the street, or I'm assuming maybe you picked up some rooms or something.
I figured probably in one of the rooms. I mean,
Yeah.
that would.
Okay. Yeah, just to kind of clarify where you're having this convo.
Don't want to have a
We're having it in
conversation
the
out
city
in
square.
Right in
Speaking
front
very
of
loudly,
right?
right in front of the owl's base.
Yes.
All
Giving
right.
them dirty looks as we do it.
All right. So you kind of as you're deliberating, for quite a while. So what is your plan of action? I haven't heard from you, Arvar. You have anything to say?
Nope. He's cool to go kill some owls. He thinks
All
a pigeon's a pretty good piece of bait, and he likes the idea of a ship, so that way we can possibly escort other ships, etc.
I wrap
Good
my
point.
tower shield in the blanket from my bed,
Okay.
and I just sort of twine it to where it doesn't unravel, and then I just carry it with me like it's a piece of it's like some good I'm carrying around the street.
Okay, you're trying to disguise it because I was going to say, as a soldier or mercenary, you very likely have like a leather cover or something that you put over it. So, an oiled leather skin, but that people probably recognize that. Also, because it's been a while since our very first session, you do have a point at which you already have been in, which was the honey tart tavern that you had gone in that one point where all the trouble started with the owls. So there's that as well.
Yeah.
All right. So from here, what's your next move?
I'm going to put a heavy cloak on around my entire set of armor and all my weapons so that I'm completely covered. And I'm going to carry my shield thing.
Okay.
And I'm going to be walking around looking out the opening in my hood.
Are you guys going out as a group, or are you kind of just scattering and trying to get some info? Or
I suggest we split up a little bit, but stay close, within earshot of one another, but not so close that we seem like we are associated with one another.
Yeah, we could even get, out of eye shot, but if somebody yells, we would know each other's voices and yells after the battles we've had.
Okay.
I'm going to need to find a cloak or something to kind of cover up my appearance, or I guess make it not so obvious.
Yeah. I mean, being that it is winter, I'm assuming you all have some sort of winter cloak or, or coverage. So stepping out into the streets, there is a constant but very light snow coming down. your feet kind of crunch and slip through the sludge that's gathered in the traveled side streets that you're on right now. Uh, Streets are pretty empty. It's a chilly day, so most folks, unless they have to be out, are probably tucked inside until you get to the more to the busier areas of the city. All right.
Sorry, as a disguise, I'm gonna shave my beard and cut my hair, and I'm gonna get one of my many girlfriends to give me some makeup to cover my scar. So
Okay. So you're gonna go and do some minimal but pretty.
Raymond's a pretty big deal.
I was gonna say I was gonna say you're doing a lot with what little you have. Is I guess the point I'm trying to make. So you're gonna change your appearance. Hair, beard gone, covering up the scars. Cool.
Yeah.
Anybody else taking any steps or anything like that?
No,
I'm probably
Ace
gonna tie
Gear
my
will
hair up in a
just
ponytail or something.
Yeah,
Ace Gear will just have his regular gear. It's fairly nondescript and overall pretty discreet. So,
As a thief is wont to do.
mhm.
I'm gonna slouch a little bit so I'm not as tall. Do the old Clark Kent thing.
Okay. So heading down the street, you can hear the bustle of the city proper kind of ahead at the end of the street, and you set out into the city to kind of do some intel. Are you looking for anything in particular?
Yes, the tattoos of the owls.
Okay. So
And
go ahead. Ace here.
I know where one of their gambling dens is, so I'll point it out to everyone when the time comes.
we
to
also
be
know
near
where
it.
the hunting tart is. But are we
There's
avoiding
that too. Yeah.
I think we decided that they are in on it.
Yeah.
So it is very difficult to see tattoos right now with everybody bundled up. Because all the usual places are well covered. So finding owl tattoos is proving very difficult. The gambling hall that Ace Gear points out does seem to still be having a good steady stream of customers in and out. And at this particular visit, you even see a couple of soldiers in uniform standing outside, just kind of chatting.
Well, I will keep walking as though, I'm on my business, just walking down the street, ignoring them. Does it appear to be that they're standing guard? Like, are they there right in front of the door next to it, or are they just vaguely in front of that building?
They look more like they're in front of the building, just chatting.
Mhm.
They're not on guard. They don't even look like they're at ease. They're just more like they happen to stop there.
Okay. I'll glance on the ground, and can I see their tracks? Like their footsteps, because there's some snow falling. So I should see some recent footsteps if they actually were walking and met there.
Yeah, you see a pair of boot steps leading up to where they are heading down the street.
Okay.
So it looks like they possibly just
Okay.
walked here. And as you're observing, the door opens and you see a third soldier come out, holding what looks like a big flagon of something that's steaming in the cold air.
Mhm.
He kind of hands it over to one of them. They kind of stand there, passing it around, sipping from it.
So mulled wine or something.
Hot cocoa.
That oh so Conan drink.
Little hot milk.
Bring me a cocoa.
It's got some Baileys in there. I'll approach the three and I'll what news from Vantica?
The one of them looks over, is like looks you up and down. Uh, right now, the news is cold. The word of the day is cold. What brings you about? He kind of
Um,
squints a bit to see what to make of you.
well, on leave, very much like yourself. Who wants to fight in the cold? They don't need my skills to track in the snow. Anyone can follow tracks in the snow.
Ah, you're the lucky one then, being on leave. For us, it's duty still. Somebody has to protect the city.
Yeah, true. Well, if it comes to that, I will surely take my bow to bear and help you. Like any of that mulled wine that I can try.
There's a big pot of it in the inn there.
Can I tell their nationality after talking to them a little bit?
Yeah, they definitely sound like they're Vatican. Um, Probably either recruited auxiliaries or part of the conquered, kingdom that Arturia has taken. So,
Fair.
but they are definitely Vatican. By their
What's the building look like?
The building you're in front of is a three-storied, whitewashed and plastered, kind of nice building. It's actually got a pair of not ostentatious, but still trying hard to look classy columns outside with a little roof above the door. And you can see that the third floor has even a terrace that is on the roof of the second floor for part of it that has a cloth cover over it.
I'm going to step out of earshot of the main group and have the pigeon go up to the third floor and see what he sees inside, if he can look through windows and kind of, see anything. Basically, what I'm trying to do is I want him to find something that looks like it might be the office of the owner or the manager or something like that.
Excellent. All right, let me check something here real quick.
Because now I can speak with the animals and have them two-way communication.
We just need to find you a two-headed llama or two-ended llama. And you'll be fine.
10-4, Drogo flying back home.
All right, so yeah, you're not quite to the see through their eyes level, but
No.
All right, cool. All right. You can understand the speech of animals; they can understand you. All right, so you tell them to fly up there, and give it a good wait, I guess, while he does his scouting. What are the rest of you doing? You're continuing your conversation there, or
Yeah, I just kind of try to judge their level of like how inebriated they are, how drunk.
they don't sound drunk by any stretch of the imagination. You can tell that they're fighting off the cold, and they're definitely passing that cup back and forth real quick.
I'm just looking for another pigeon for the owls to see how if these guys are worth following or not. But I don't think if they're seem to have their wits about them, I doubt they're going to be jumped or whatever. So
they're actually in uniform too, so they're not like just some random fighters on the street. Very even possible that they're part of the city. The city constabulary, the watch.
Oh, fair. Okay. Oh, well, then if that's the case, I was like, any signs of trouble with all this new influx of people for the winter?
One of them, kind of a heavier set one. Oh, you know it. Constantly these dregs coming into the city now. It was one thing to have the soldiers return from the front and the mercenaries, coming into winter, but now it's beggars and thieves, crusty priests and foreigners, cultists even.
If only there was a way to get rid of them.
If only. but they won't let us burn out the ghettos, and they won't let us run them out on rails, put them to the shackle, and put them at the oar.
Jesus.
Civilization, eh? What a
Everything has to go to a vote for the prelate and the council these days. I remember when the city was new. If you had trouble with a man, you challenged him in the street, and if you didn't run him through, you came back later, put him in shackles, threw him in the arena, and it was done with it. But no,
More civilized time.
progress. as they say.
that's what they're calling it. And he grabs the flagon back from the other guy and like tips it back heavily. A good set of dribbles going down his chin, his jowly chin.
And get off my lawn.
They don't send people to the arena anymore? I thought surely people did end up in the arena.
Oh yes, they send him to the arena, but only after a trial and some this and that. You know, the process they call it. But I hear we're even going to get visited by the Praetor, and then they're going to want us all clean and shiny. But he's overdue.
Progress in the process. If there's only a faster way to get men into the arena, I'm bored with this town. I need to see some action.
He raises a brow. He's like, well, I mean, he kind of looks around a bit and looks to his fellows. I mean, there's the arena, and then there's the arena.
Oh. So there's an arena outside the arena?
Well, yes, there's the Colosseum where all the main fighting goes on, but there's plenty of fighting pits all about the city and outside. I hear some of the wealthier folk even hold them in their own courtyards at their villas. Those are some really high-paying fights. I've seen warriors come out there draped in gold so much you'd think they were a prince.
I might watch some of these battles. Jesus,
If you don't know somebody, then you have to grease a palm or two. Find the right folks, pay the coin, they'll show you the way.
Sorry, what was the name of that witch woman that we ran into? Can't remember.
Lucretia.
Oh, of course. I have had brief dealings with a woman named Lucretia. I think she might have access to these.
I've seen her at the fights, those ones that I've stood guard at, but she seems mostly there as a matter of course. Doesn't seem to take much of an interest. Those thick-thewed men that she does take in often become her bodyguards.
That's fair. Jesus, Cat wants to fight.
Oh, I was going to say, who are you fighting with?
Oh my God,
You heard all the talk of arenas, and he's really jazzed.
Jesus.
Cat's off right in.
Cat's got some attitude.
All right. I thank the men for their time and their service. And maybe I'll walk in. I don't know if anyone else come with you. I'll walk into the room look for the wine. Jesus.
Yeah. While he was talking, Aesgear just kept walking on because he wasn't walking with Orvar.
Yeah.
Saw he started talking with them, walked another couple of street corners further, and out of sight, mostly just kept an eye on what was happening. Once he sees Orvar step into the house, he will quickly look around to see if he can find some store where you can get some food, maybe a loaf of bread or something.
Okay.
And
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
and if yes, he'll sort of pop in quickly, grab a small loaf of bread, and then start walking back towards the gambling house, munching on it.
Okay. So briefly before you guys go in, while the conversation's happening, we'll cut to Drogo's pigeon.
Mm-hmm.
So the pigeon returns while the conversation is happening and begins to give its report. It describes for you what it saw up above in the most pigeonly terms it can. And that is, it says there are many, many soft places in the open air, and then the big nest up there had more soft places, and a big flat log covered in shiny things.
Okay.
I mean, it is just a pigeon.
Okay. That's helpful. So I break off a piece of ration or something and feed it to him.
Okay.
And just tell him to hang around in the area. Go check, periodically check up there, fly around other windows that he can see. Don't make it obvious that you're looking, but do pigeon things and look, but and I'll call to you if I need you again.
So he flutters off your shoulder and then kind of lands on a nearby eave under one of the roof overhangs. So then, about then, Orvar finishes his conversation, and Aesir returns, and you guys slip in. As far as I understand it, you were going inside.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As I'm munching the bread, I will go into the gambling house.
Okay. So stepping in from the outside, the air suddenly goes from chilly and biting to oppressively warm and claustrophobic. I mean, it is heavy with the smells of bodies, various various types of smoke, candle tallow, wine, and every scent that is being used to try and cover up those odors. You see pretty much shoulder to shoulder people standing around various tables, playing various games, dice, some games with sticks and stuff like that, kind of like a pickup sticks kind of a thing, where they're tossing sticks down and trying to catch them, and just a variety of local sorts of gambling going on, cups, things like that. But there are quite a few wagers being passed around. You do see some arm wrestling, and there is there's another like knife throwing target in here as well.
Okay. I'm not sure where Orvar is, but if it's not out of the way, I will head towards one of the tables that seems to have an open spot and just sort of bump into Orvar so to make sure he's aware I'm here. I'll just sort of ignore him, but just sort of and sit down at one of the tables and put a couple of gold pieces down for my wager.
Lacalda, Igor, what are you guys doing?
Go ahead, Lacaldo.
I am going to wait at least 10 minutes to 15, unless I hear a noise before I walk in. And then if there's nothing going on, I will go in and look for a place to sit and drink, which he will start doing.
Okay. You easily find a place to kind of push in between folks, either at the bar or leaning against the wall. seating seems almost. I mean, if there's a seat here, it's got somebody in it at this point.
Yeah, I wasn't interested in a seat. I wanted to stay on my feet.
Excellent, Igor.
I'm going to keep fronting as though I'm just a normal person walking on the street, and I'm gonna notice that the gambling house is here. I look for my friends. I'm assuming they walked in.
Mhm.
I'm gonna park myself, not park, but stand kind of in the middle of the street, minding my own business in front of that establishment, and I'm gonna keep an eye on who comes in and out.
Okay. You find a nice place to station yourself. There is actually um, a, a grill, kind of a brick grill there, where somebody is roasting some kind of bits of meat on skewers. So you can easily find park yourself there and appear as a customer. They also have a pretty vile looking tub of what smells like some sort of uh, halfway point between an ale and a spirit, perhaps ale that has started to go well beyond its aleness and turn into liquor. Um, but it has a weird fruitiness to it, almost like prunes. But so you're able to take station there. Drogo, what are you doing? You said you had the bird go up, and then you're going to enter as well.
Yeah, I'm just going to go in and probably do something similar to Localdo. Just find a place that's kind of, well, I guess PAX. There's no place that is private, but just find a corner to stand in and find buy a drink and sip it.
Yep. So you are easily able to find yourself a place. If you're not at the bar, it does take a bit for a barmaid to find her way to you, but you do eventually. And here, it's not a matter. There's just barmaids going around with with trays full of cups. You just kind of grab them off there and drop a coin on the tray, and you can see that people are doing that because access to any form of the bar is near impossible. Localdo, at the bar, you notice that almost every other pair of people at the bar also seem to be engaged in some sort of gameplay or just simple gambling. They're throwing dice, or they've got a board out, moving pieces, or something like that. So it's very much a lot of activity here, just in terms of anything that they can turn into a wager. It seems like. You even hear occasionally some boisterous comments that remind you of your own companion, with people just throwing out random bets of a couple of coins over some possible happenstance. I bet you just a coin that such and such will happen.
Side bets.
Exactly.
So after Aesgear bumped into me, I'll yell, like, I've learned like various swear words of different languages, so I'll say something really rude in Vantican, and I'll actually pretend I'm like really drunk, and I'll start stumbling through the room. I'm looking for someone who wants to arm wrestle this drunk guy.
So, Aesgear, you said you were trying to find your way into one of the tables for for one of the games.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're able to get in position to be like next up, and then Orvar, you're stumbling about and kind of bellowing out, produces a result. You see the crowd kind of part as this. If he were taller, they might describe him as a mountain of a man, but because he is vertically challenged, he is more of a dung heap of a man. He is clearly a good amount of muscle with a lot of extra flesh on top of that. He's wrapped in clothing made of old furs and what was probably at one time a fine silk doublet that was that is now straining to contain him. And he kind of sidles up to you. He's like, "So, it's a fight you want, is it?"
No, you're much too large. I'll fight that smaller one, and I'll point to some little guy.
No. All right. Well, if it's twig snapping you're up for, then go for it. Then be my guest. But if you want a real challenge, I'll be here.
If I had the coin, good friend, I would buy you some wine. But gambling took all my coin out of my purse. I swear they cheated. And I kind of stumble.
He eyes you a bit with his good eye. The other eye looks to be cataract a bit. And it's like, well, I can see under that heap of whatever you're wearing that there's a man in there. What might you be willing to do to get that coin?
I fought in the armies. I know how to handle myself well enough that I'm relatively unscathed, and I'm just kind of like wobbling. Like I said, I'll fight that little man over there. I'll show you a show. I'll kick him in the head
I have.
for 2 silver, even.
Well. Let's. I have another offer for you. Come with me. I want to introduce you to somebody. Perhaps we can find a way to let you earn some of that coin you're looking for without embarrassing yourself.
Oh, that sounds good, my friend. What's your name?
My name, Rufo.
What? What? Roofie? What? But sir, okay, let's go. And I burst pretend I'm.
He kind of elbows a couple of people out of my way, and he like leads you over to this corner table.
I try to catch Isger's like as I'm like walking over there, like, hey, keep an eye on me.
Yeah. While I'm standing near the table that I'm waiting for a space for, I'm keeping an eye on my companions, and I clearly see the exchange. I don't hear it because I'm too far and there's too much noise in the tavern, but I sort of keep track of what's happening.
Okay. So, Localdo at the bar, you find yourself getting jostled about a bit by the people on either side of you as you try to nurse your drink.
If it's normal bar behavior,
Yeah.
I'll ignore it because I've been in bars before. Ricaldo's been in bars before. You get bumped.
Exactly.
But if it's anybody with sticky fingers, they're getting a dagger into their wrist.
All right. Go ahead real quick, please, and roll for me a wisdom check. Roll under.
Roll under on a 20.
Yes.
Roll a 6.
All right. So as you are being jostled about, you notice that one of the passing barmaids slips her hand into your coin purse.
Okay.
Kind of almost just gliding by, just kind of whoop, does this thing,
And presuming I can, she's going to get a cut wrist because of it.
Ooh.
Okay. So you're just gonna pull your dagger out and cut her.
Yeah, sort of like it's in the dagger, it's in the sheath.
Yep.
Just pull it out to where she, like, oops, you cut yourself type thing. Not.
She yelps out and kind of hisses and pulls her hand back with the blood kind of coming down her wrist, and disappears off into the crowd, kind of cursing. But yeah.
Exactly, Brian. So yeah, I'll be on the watch for other sticky fingers, but it's kind of the life. So it's not like he's going to take it personally.
All right. So, Drago, you doing anything specific, or are you still just keeping an eye?
I'm just kind of eyeballing the scenery, not
Right.
really just looking for anything out of place. Anybody that's up to something. I imagine there's probably lots of people up to something. But anything that affects the group.
Excellent. So you do see Orvar kind of being led off to the corner of the room, and you can see the wench kind of retreat quickly from the Caldo. Igor, what are you doing? You're still out in the street, right?
Yeah, after establishing myself away from the front of this building for a while and paying attention to these guys over here, I'm going to slowly circuit my way back to the front of this building and see if I can find an opening, like a window or something I can peek into from the outside.
Okay. So the front has no windows. Now, as you go around the side of the building and into the alley, you can see that lined up along the side of the building, there are set very high some slitted windows, very likely for just ventilation. In fact, you can see like smoke and the steam of just the heat, condensing air coming out of those holes.
Could be somebody in the attic getting high.
Probably not, but it could be. If that's where Igor's brain goes.
He's like, I know what they're doing up there.
This is the only obvious conclusion. But so then,
Dad, why does the whole crowd smell like Otto's jacket?
Black
So-
Motor, the best.
so you would be able to see in probably if you could get up to them.
Okay, I'll note that, and then I'm just going to do a quick lap around the building and see if how many entrances exit the building.
Okay. So around the back, there's not a whole alley, but basically a little like half alley that kind of cuts from the main alley, and you see a door back there. Off to the side of that door, you also see a staircase going up to the second floor where there's a landing where there's another door there. And then the rest of the other sides of the building are not accessible because they butt up against adjoining structures.
I make a mental note of all these architectural facts, and then I'm going to head back to the front door and mind my own business, but listening in to what's going on inside.
The soldiers that were out there have moved on, and there's a pretty steady stream of comings and goings out the front door. Orvar, you are led through the crowd to this corner table, and it's a round affair in the corner, and you see around it kind of a motley crew of individuals. There's one man with a curled beard, like tight little ringlet curls, that are dyed strange, kind of like blue. He's draped in silks, and has you can see he has tattoos on his hands that are also covered in jewelry and stuff. And there's a couple of like Vantican looking guys. You can tell by the type of jewelry they're wearing. They got the torques around their necks, and they've got the very Celtic knotwork looking brooches and stuff like that. But central to the table is a rather imposing Northman with a bald head, his beard in braids, a massive bearskin cloak over his back. He has across his face looks like the scars from bear claw. and he seems to be the one directing the conversation. There is also on the table several stacks of coins, as well as um, leather pouches, which you assume contain more valuables. And in front of the bejeweled silked guy is a small pile of gems.
I'll sway back and forth and make it really obvious I'm staring at the coin.
So the chunky guy who led you there, he comes up and he's like, gentlemen, allow me to introduce my new friend. So, friend, I didn't get your name.
Oh, you're Drufo.
No, that's my
no. Oh no, sorry. That's your name. I'm Carl.
The men at the table chuckle, and the guy in the silks kind of says something under his breath in a tongue you don't recognize. The man across the man at the center of the table, the big Northman, looks at you, looks at the other guy. Truffaut, you bring me another drunkard. I suppose you think this is another champion in the rough. And Truffaut kind of looks at he looks you up and down and kind of does this. Like, look at the man. There's a warrior in there for sure. I promise you. And the big guy looks over. He's like, perhaps the leavings of a warrior.
I bet you I can shoot an arrow through that crowd and kill someone.
He chuckles, and as he chuckles, you can see that two of his teeth appear to have been replaced by bear teeth. And you can see like wire around the other teeth adjacent to them. So he's got this big toothy grin. Like not normal.
Has anyone ever told you you look like a bear?
Well, yes, many a time. Now,
That is honorable. Bears are mighty.
they are. I'm sure you know them well, being a son of the North yourself.
I'm originally from the Linlock Isles, and I was taken to the north. And I'm in the south. I've been everywhere, man.
A well-traveled man. It seems
I've had my share of women from everywhere.
And it looks to have brought you somewhere you don't want to be.
They stole. I thought I won on the tables. They cheated somehow. Loaded dice. I have no more money. How am I supposed to go home with no money? My Jarl will be upset with me.
How are you? You claim to be good with a bow. How are you with a blade?
I've stuck my I've stuck my blade in more than a few things, and I chuckle. Oh, you mean a sword?
The Vantikins at the table laugh. They're like, one of them looks at him. He's like, "This man is a drunk. Why waste our time with him? He'll die. He'll die in seconds in the arena." And the big guy like reaches over and cuffs him. So loud.
I'll say, well, why do me and you, Vantikin? Why don't we have? You got sticks? We can have a mock combat. I'll show you. I'll give you a knock.
You hear a blade get drawn real quick, and a Vantikin dagger gets slapped down on the table. I have another one for you. You just tell me when you want to do.
I said practice blade, not blades, sticks.
Children fight with sticks. Are you a child? Are you a child? Are you a child? Are you
I'm a child of the North. You make you stupid grassland prairie chicken.
He stands up real quick and lunges at you, actually.
Shouldn't have called him a prairie.
Calls out with his fist real quick. I'm going to go ahead and real quick. That's a 9. He missed.
I pretend I just like stumble all the way. Oh, you missed me.
He swings and he looks like he's going to go further and then stops, and you realize that the silked man now has a wickedly curved knife up under his chin. And he mumbles something in that tongue that you don't understand, and the man's eyes go wide, and he sits down as like a child being scolded.
I thank you, good sir. If I only had the wealth that you have, I would be most happy, most sober and happy.
He looks to one of the other kind of nondescript people that's at the table, maybe just one of the lesser gang members, and raises a brow, and the guy practically jumps out of the seat to get clear, and he moves the seat out for you. This is the Silk Man doing this. He whispers, "Sit down."
Oh, I'll fall into the chair.
He smiles and slides a cup in front of you. You can smell what smells like fine wine coming up out of in the cup.
Oh, I'll sniff it and I'll take a little sip.
It is a good vintage.
Then I chug it.
They all break out laughing, and except for the one guy who got told, he's kind of like looking at you, giving you the shit stare. So
I'll put, what is his name? Why is he so angry?
never mind him. No, let's talk. You want to fight?
Oh, yes, I enjoy fighting. Fighting is fun. Gets out my aggression. My bad childhood comes out in my fighting. I feel better for a little while after.
Tell me, brother, when you are not in your cups, are you good with your blade? Can you stand in a fight? Can you put on a show?
I'll look him dead sober. I can stand in a fight. I can put on a show. And then I'll look, more wine. Where's more wine? And I'll pretend I'm drunk again.
You see him smile an almost knowing grin, and he looks to the guy who got told off. He's like, "Get this man a room. I want him fed, bathed, and ready for a meeting by morning." And he kind of looks to you, and you see him. He slides one of the smaller bags, leather bags, across the table at you. This should get you started.
No, I can't. Really?
Take the money.
I'll take it, and I'll I'll be very appreciative, and I'll say thank you, and I'll buy you a drink.
I have plenty. Now follow him. He'll take you to a chamber to rest.
All right, and I'll pocket the coin.
The guy stands, the Vantigan stands, like, "All right, piss pot, follow me."
Okay, chicken.
The people around you, suddenly there's a rousing roll of laughter, and you're and he kind of he immediately is about the color of a Praetorian's cloak. He's just follow. He's come along, follow me. And he kind of leads. He starts walking towards the back of the establishment.
I'll follow, and I'll lean in. Listen, I'm not one to fuck with. And then I pretend I'm drunk again.
All right. So everybody who's keeping an eye on Orvar, you see him being led to the back.
Yeah.
The back of the room has a door leading out of it. You can see, and you haven't seen anybody really come and go from that door except for barmaids.
I start heading that way, kind of make not directly, but surreptitiously, whatever. My words don't work today. But take the roundabout way. There we go.
What's everybody else doing?
Oh, I am. How much time has passed since I've done my route around the building?
I would say, by the time this conversation has gone through, you've been able to like wind your way, take your notes, kind of check the other sides to learn that there's no way around it. You've been standing in front of the building for a bit now.
Who came in and out since I've been watching my companions go in there?
Nobody of particular note. It's just been a lot of like more like skeevy fellows. Nobody particularly, um, that would stand out.
Okay, yeah, and nothing seems to be. No trouble seems to be manifesting itself from what I can tell out here. So I'm just going to continue to wait outside. Right out. I'm like next to the building outside, looking across the street away from the building, but listening to what's going on here.
All right, so you're still outside, or are you inside? I'm sorry.
No, I'm gonna stay out here.
Okay.
Because I wanna protect their six, so to speak.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, you're picking up little bits and pieces of conversation coming and going. Clearly, based on the snippets you're picking up as people kind of come in and out, you can kind of catch words. You're like when you're stationary and people are talking past you. It is clear that gambling is the order of business for here, but you do hear talk occasionally of fights and fighting kids and the like.
Do I catch anybody talking about my friends that are walking out the door?
Yes, but not in the way you would expect. A while after you've stationed yourself, you see a woman kind of with a cloak pulled around her hastily, cursing as she comes out, talking about some weedy, Vantican, and a quick blade, and she got a bandaged hand, and she kind of sludges off into the. She's like, I hope they take him to the pits to die, kind of under her breath, kind of growling, and cursed Baba, and kind of wanders off through the slush.
I wonder what he did to her.
All right, so Orvar, the angry Vantican, we'll call him, opens the door and walks through and looks back. He kind of stops, looks back. He's like, come on, drunk.
Okay.
And you can hear the clattering of what sounds like a kitchen behind the door as he opens it. And, the smell of, stew and gruel and roasted meat wafts out.
I'm going to grab some food as I walk through there. Chicken leg or whatever.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of hand to grab. There's the center of the kitchen has a big spit on it, where it looks like they've got like pretty much a side of beef just rotating on it, and then there's a big cauldron in the corner that's bubbling with what smells like stew. You can tell by the heaps of root vegetables next to it. There's stuff hanging, sausages and herbs and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a few, scullery maids and cooks back there, and he kind of he's leading you back towards a door to the back of the kitchen.
Yeah, I'll stop, grab a sausage, smack a maid on the ass, and let's go. Sober me up, I say, and then off I go.
Excellent. All right, so he opens the door, and you get hit with the biting cold and you can see the light from the outside kind of filtering in.
Where are you taking me, Vantican?
Upstairs to the room, like I was told.
Do I hear this outside?
This would be in the back of the building, so if you're out front, probably not.
Show me the room I need. I must get back to my girlfriend. What am I meant to eat, girlfriends?
It's at the top of the stairs, but I have to let you in.
You go first.
Okay?
I don't want to
Aren't you a suspicious one? You're really quick and so surly with your mouth when you're in a room full of others, but suddenly you're quite cautious. He kind of steps in, starts heading up the stairs.
I'm in my cups. I don't want to slip and fall and crush your little body if I fall backwards. Can you go first?
He kind of looks over it like he's talking to a child and puts his hand on the railing. Well, when you come up the stairs, make sure you hold the rail, little boy. And he kind of turns and walks up the stairs.
I'll make a mental note.
You die next. So he goes up to the landing. He's like, "Are you coming? It's cold out here, and I'm freezing my balls off."
That won't take long, will it? I'm sure they're already gone.
His demeanor shifts real quick, and he goes from like his eyes just flare, and you can tell that you went too far. He's at the top of the stairs, looking down at you, and he's you see him start to reach for his blade, his sword on his side.
He's upstairs. I'm downstairs.
Yep.
I'm gonna whip my sausage to try to hit him with it.
That's a bit personal.
I rolled a 13.
All right, so you wing the sausage at him. Give me a D4 half, so a D2 basically.
2.
The sausage hits him squarely in the face, and you hear him like half growl and half squeak. And the sausage smacks off of his face, hits the ground, and then kind of slinkies its way down the stairs to your feet. And you can see this. You can see a dribble of blood coming out of one of his nostrils.
I'll say next time that'll be a knife.
He's like, you threw a sausage.
And my nose.
He's like,
it must have had a bone in it.
His sword halfway out. He's like, what is wrong with you? He puts his blade away. He's like,
Mammoth riders, ghouls, and bandits. I'm not scared of some little Vatican with no balls.
he puts his blade away. He opens the door. Get in there. I've had enough of you.
Well, okay, let's go.
So you go up the stairs. And, All right. So inside you see what looks like a common room. There's a table there. There's a hearth. And you see what looks like another staircase leading up to the floor above. And then there is a door under the staircase. And then in the kind of, let's say you have your walls here. So like the stairs, there's a door under the stairs. And then in the facing wall, there is another door. So maybe 2 other rooms off this common room. And then the stairs above. He kind of walks over and you see him grab a flagon that's just sitting there next to a pitcher on the table, and he tips it back and slams it down, and then walks over to the room under the stairs and opens the door. You see that he does fumble with a key before he opens it, and then he swings it open. He's like, in here. This is where you will stay for the night.
I will be back. I have to go see my lady friend. She'll be missing me.
He growls. He throws the key over onto the table. There's your key. I'm done with you. And he turns around and walks out. Like just leaves you in the room.
And I was like, thank you. Vatican. Chicken.
You hear him, fuck you.
I'll go inspect the room before I leave with the key. Just like pop my head in, take a look around, and then I'll.
Right. So in the room, you see a comfortable but not fancy bed. There's a what looks like a small chest and a stool in there. There are no windows. in the room that lead out. But and you do see that there's an oil lamp hanging in one corner, from a chain in the ceiling, and a small table against one wall, on which there appear to be like an old stale loaf of bread and some cheese.
I'll grab the rations and I'll shut the door and lock it, and I'll see where everybody else is.
All right, so you shut the door after you left the room.
Yeah.
Locked it. Okay, cool. All right, cool. And so now you're in this. I mean, you're in this place by yourself. There's another door leading off here, and the stairs going upstairs, and then you can also go out the door to return to your friends if you wanted to. So.
Yeah, I'll go through the door I came in, and I'll just kind of look around, see if anyone my crew sort of shows up. See if Van Chicken's around.
All right. So when you peek out, you do catch a glimpse of him looking up the stairs out the back of the kitchen door, like he's keeping an eye on the area.
Let's give him the finger.
Steady stream of steam is coming into the kitchen. You give him the finger. With that, he kind of ducks back into the kitchen. So anybody who is following Orvar through the kitchen at this point, you probably would have also passed by the chicken as he kind of steps back to the main room.
No, I'm still in the common room drinking, watching out for the barmaids, because obviously they're troublesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I just followed him through there.
Yeah, keeping an eye on the door that I saw him walk out of. Trying to see if any trouble seems to develop, like if maybe the people at the table where he was all of a sudden get up and go through the door or leave. Anything like that.
Okay, so when the Vatican leads him away, you can see that some deliberation starts going back and forth. I will say, as a thief, with your ability to probably observe and read folks, you can tell that there's a bargain happening. There's a deal going on suddenly at the table.
Mm-hmm. And is that between the man who brought Orvar to the table and the I mean, obviously, Aesgear doesn't know his name's Drufo, and the man with the bearskin cloak?
It seems to be carried on between Drufo and the man in the bearskin, as well as the silken man. So
Okay.
the other Bantican is just kind of sitting back, and you kind of get the idea that maybe the two Banticans were bodyguards or just muscle or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I sort of keep an eye on them while pretending to keep an eye out on the table I'm waiting for.
Okay. So Lacaldo at the bar, you hear the man to your right chuckle as he looks over to the corner, seeing Orvar getting taken away. He's like, "Huh, looks like the bear found another one."
They call that little guy the bear? Or you mean the guy with the cloak?
Where do you come from that bears look like him? No, I meant the man who is a bear. Look at him.
Well, that's what I was saying. He's just a little cub. He's big, though.
More like a pig. But
so the bear has found another one.
yes, it sounds like he's found another fighter for his pit.
Ah, okay. So the probably. What do you think? He looked like a drunk to me. You think he'll last one fight?
I doubt he would have been handed a bag of coin and taken to sober up if they didn't see something in him, especially if the men if the southerner there is agreeing to it.
Good point. Good point. I wasn't necessarily watching on I'm more interested in the ladies in here trying to. They're more interested in my pockets than anything, and it's kind of disturbing. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if there was some foreplay beforehand, if you know what I mean.
He laughs. He's like, I see Celise took a liking to you then.
Yeah, she didn't like my dagger too much. She got a little too close, a little too quick.
Well, I mean, it could have been worse. She could have left you with more than a. She could have got away with your coin. But
If
yes,
she would have been quick, or she would have been prettier, maybe she could have just got it anyways.
he belly laughed. He's like, I like you. Let me buy you a drink.
I will let you.
Ha! He calls over the bartender and has him slosh a big flagon full of the local whatever it is they're drinking that is yeasty and frothing. So,
Skull.
he slaps the cup with you and drops tips it back. Anybody else doing anything specifically, or are you still waiting for Orvar to come back?
I was following him at a distance
All right, so
into the kitchen, and
all right. So you would have made it into the kitchen while he's having that exchange outside and everything. And so about the time you're kind of reaching the back of the kitchen, you can see that the Vatican is coming back in, and kind of storms past you. So,
delightful fellow. And obviously not too conscious about security, so I'm just going to go out and look around and see what happened.
okay.
See if Orvar's dead in the alley or whatever.
About that time, you'd come out and probably find Orvar coming down the stairs. So.
You're
Drogo,
wrong.
just in time. You missed it.
What did I miss?
I hit a man with a piece of meat. It was quite funny.
All right then.
Well, better than a blade. He was going to fight me, but I guess sausage to the face will divert most attention. So
At least it wasn't your sausage to the face.
and I just stare at him. No, it's not.
All right. So, what are you guys doing?
But I'll tell Drogo, I am invited to fight in the arena. I don't know if I really want to do that though. But I have some coin.
You can go ahead and mark down like 10 gold.
They believe me to be inebriated, so I must sober up before the fights. So, but I don't wish to stay there overnight. So, but I do have a key.
Probably wouldn't be very safe.
No. I insulted that Vatican. I don't think he likes me. Besides the meat to the besides the pork to the face. So
He appears to have no sense of humor. Although I imagine getting struck in the face with a piece of sausage does wonders for one's sense of humor.
yeah. Much like getting a badger to the face. People don't seem to like that.
Builds character.
What should we do now? Should we go back in? Or should we move along?
There's no reason for me to be out here, so I'm going to go back in. I figured if anybody challenged me, I was going to tell them I was looking for a place to take a piss.
That's fair. I'll follow you in. I'll be decidedly less drunk this time. Slightly. But I've sobered up after having some food. So
Great. So I turn around and
So you guys head back in then?
yeah. As I pass through the kitchen, I yell, "Is that a rat?" As I come out the door into the main.
Do I hear him yell from where I'm at?
You can, because you can kind of hear his voice echo through the alleyway.
If I hear his voice, I'm going to break back the other way to the back and see what's going on.
All right. You can see the door to the kitchen that's there. It's closed at this point, as you know, as they walk through. But it's funny as when you yell, "Is there a rat?" You can hear somebody from the crowd go yell, "I'll take two."
I'll make sure to grab another piece of sausage before I head back into the main room. I need ammunition.
All right. So as you walk in with a sausage in hand, you can see the Vantican is back at his seat at the table, and he like quickly averts his eyes from you as he sees you.
No,
You should wave the sausage at him as you go by.
Yeah, like, no, naughty, naughty.
The big Northman takes note of you coming back into the room and kind of raises a brow, and then kind of talks with the guy in the silks a little bit more.
I'm not tired yet. I'm feeling better. The food is making me regain my constitution.
He nods like, "You have my coin, so make sure you return."
Oh, yes, no worries. I continue moving on.
All
I'll offer the Vantican, hey, did you want some more sausage? I'll just walk
So
out.
you would just kind of
I
grit
won't
your
even-
teeth. All right. So you're heading out then?
Yeah.
And what's everybody else doing?
I'm gonna head out the door and I'll take a drink on the way out.
Okay.
I look for signs of Drogo out in the back.
Drogo is not there in the back when you get back there, no.
I go back to the front.
Okay. As you get around to the front, you get there just in time, really, to see Orvar come out the front, followed by Drogo. Anybody else leaving, or is it, or Lacaldo and Askar, you stay?
Ace Gear will stay another 5-10 minutes, still pretending to wait for the game, and then just say, I'll bet I'll die of old age before I get to play, and he's just going to leave. Looking frustrated that he couldn't gamble, and just leave the building.
Lacaldo?
I am going to finish this drink and probably just meander away after the drink. Now, if that's 5 minutes into it or an hour after it, I know where the group is. We didn't really necessarily have a plan to regroup immediately, so he's gonna handle it organically, unless there's a scream. He's still kind of got his ear out for, if some type of fisticuffs happens down the alleyway. But if they wander a mile away, they're on their own.
Okay. Well, so you kind of all make your way out of the inn, so, or the gambling house there. So spacing out your departures. Igor, you see, Orvar and Drogo come out, and then shortly after, Askir comes out.
I don't give myself away or them away. But I do count how many of my friends have come out and make sure that everybody has left.
After
And then once the last guy leaves, I'm gonna slowly tail the group, but not too close, because I want to see if other people are tailing them.
All right. So Lacaldo, you leave, and then walk out. On Lacaldo's heels, you see a couple of figures, kind of a shifty pair, weedy fellows. One of them with a rat face, and the other one kind of pockmarked and scarred, kind of following perhaps a little too intently behind your friend. Not like right behind him, but clearly following him.
Are we blended into a crowd at this point?
You're out on the street. I wouldn't say a crowd. There is a steady stream of people moving up and down, but it's nowhere near as thick as it would be like in a warmer month or something like this point.
I'm going to, as I'm tailing them with giving them plenty of slack, and I'm behind. I think I'm behind everybody. I'm going to start taking off my stuff from. I'm going to take my. I'm going to undo the wrap around my shield. I'm going to roll it back up and stick it in my backpack. Take my cloak off so that I can move around a little bit,
Okay.
and tighten that up as well. And I'm going to walk around like I'm a soldier now, but I'm going to get a little closer to these guys tailing Ricaldo.
Okay. You can see as they're walking behind Lacaldo, you can see them muttering back and forth with each other, having some sort of a conversation and looking around side to side. Clearly, not very good at keeping themselves inconspicuous. Um, uh, and as you can after a while, you can see them starting to close the gap between them and Lacaldo, and you can see their hands go to their sides under their winter cloaks.
As soon as they do that, I say, Lucaldo, watch your back. And then I rush forward to address the situation.
How are you reacting, Lacaldo?
I'm going to whip around and bring my staff to ready set and look for, danger. Theoretically, missile weapon danger that I have to duck.
You turn around to face a pair of ne'er-do-wells, cloaked ne'er-do-wells, about 10 paces from you, moving quickly, their hands in their cloaks.
And I'll say, I'm done with you, cut purses. Stop it already, or I'll crash both of your skulls.
One of them grins a toothless grin, and the other one practically hisses, and they lunge towards you. Let's go ahead and get some initiative rolls.
10.
10. All right. Igor, go ahead and roll. You're in this combat. You're there.
I have a 3 on a D6.
3 and a D6. No bonus for dexterity or anything like that.
No.
What'd you roll, Shane?
I rolled a 10 total.
Okay. What was your dice? What'd you roll?
D6.
Okay, cool. So you got 10 total. You had a 3. All right. So cool. All right. So it's going to be Lacaldo, and then Igor and the thieves will go simultaneously. So Lacaldo.
So before they get into melee range, Lacaldo throws a dagger at him.
Okay.
So that's a 20-sider.
Not unless we change systems.
I rolled a 17 plus 320.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, that's a good solid hit. Go ahead and roll me damage.
2.
2. Your blade whips through the air and connects squarely into the chest of one of them, and sends him kind of stumbling forward a bit as he clutches his chest. Right.
And I'll say, no quarter then, asshole.
Igor.
You can make it.
Igor's going to step up and try to take the head off of one of these thugs with his broadsword.
All right. Go for it.
I swing. Does an 18 hit?
Oh, yes.
I sure
Gonna
hope
be
so.
3
They're
points.
secretly ninjas. No.
3 points of damage from the broadsword.
3 points. Your broadsword cuts deep into his back, and he screams out, "Aye!" and just falls to the ground. They're both alive and moaning in the slush. The one guy that you threw the dagger at looks up at you at Lacaldo, and he's like, "Mercy, mercy!"
Oh, like you were going to give me mercy was me telling you to stop before you started.
Kind of gets up on his knee. He's got his hand out at you, and he's like, "We he was just doing what men needs to do when they're cold and hungry.
Well, where are you going? It's going to be pretty warm.
I will say that you're able to just finish him off with a blow, or hitting him with your staff.
Yeah.
All right. There's a crunch, and he just ragdolls there in the slush. The other guy is just laying there, like twitching, bleeding out of his back into the snow.
Crushed skull.
Fresh.
I look at Igor. Crushed skull.
You see, he's the guy seems like he's struggling trying to get up, but his neither of his arms is really working well as the muscles and tendons have been severed along his back. This is kind of
Igor?
What are you doing, Igor?
Igor's going to finish these guys.
All right.
As he's finishing the other guy, I will retrieve my dagger. And any obvious coins or anything that they happen to have.
Okay. So how would you like to finish this last guy, Igor?
I'm going to stab him through with the broadsword through his soft part.
All right. Squelch, and he goes limp. The pool of blood growing around the two of them. Looking through their meager possessions, you find that all that they had in store for you were a couple of crude, rusted old knives, and there's not a coin between the two of them. Although you can each claim 10 XP.
I will drag, unless Igor's going to help, I will drag both of them over to, the side of the road, kind of prop them up to where they're sitting, put them next to each other, put their heads next to each other like they're drunks, and as this for a few minutes.
As this altercation ends, you can see that watching over this was a uniformed soldier, and he's just standing there eating some meat on a stick from the same kiosk that Igor had been hanging around.
I told him to stop. He didn't want to.
He's like, it's just a pity they were so poor. And throws the stick into the street and walks off.
I take whatever possessions they did have as far as weapons. And
a couple of dinged up old, probably kitchen knives.
Yeah, I say this'll be scrap metal that might be useful.
Fair enough. Thanks you for the assist, my friend.
Well, we don't have time to die, Lucaldo.
Nor a
Be
desire.
careful.
All right. So, guys, what are you guys doing now? You guys heading back to your digs?
Yeah, we're obviously together, so I'll walk with him, and we'll just go back.
First thing I'm going to do is look for reactions in the crowd to see if anybody else was tailing us, and they turned around and left.
Not really. In fact, this crowd in the area seems rather unfazed by this spontaneous violence. They just kind of go back about their business. You're not in the best neighborhood, obviously. You're at a gambling den, so you kind of have a bit of a cantina moment. Everything goes back to normal as soon as the guy's dead on the ground.
Before we leave, I say one more thing. I pull his sleeve up, and I want to see if there's any owl tattoos on these two guys, both arms.
Pulling up the sleeves, you don't find any owl tattoos. You do find that the one guy's pockmarking continues down his sleeves. He was at one point clearly he was probably diseased. He got better, but because there's
He-
scars and stuff.
He
But
survived smallpox.
the other guy has a really nasty brand on his arm, though, that shows that he has been busted for thievery before. He's branded as a thief.
Okay.
But you don't find anything concealed on them. No marks other than the random kinds of tattoos you might find us with various northern tribes and stuff. So.
Okay.
Okay. So, what are y'all doing?
Me and Lucaldo are heading back to where we were staying, our room.
Okay.
And I don't want to talk too loudly about what he did in that room. I tell him, yeah, let's just wait until we get behind closed doors and we'll talk about what we saw tonight.
So, in order of transit, though, so if everybody's heading back
Yeah.
to the room, then Orvar and Sergeant Mushroom Drogo, excuse me, would get there first, and then unless Ace Gear picked up his pace, he would arrive after, and then you and Localdo would arrive. So by the time you guys get there, the other three are there, more than likely, if they went directly back.
Yep.
Right. So you come in and you're all together again in your room.
I retrieved the pigeon before I left.
Oh, okay.
And then when you get back into the room, I feed him another piece of jerky, open the window, and I let him go. Tell him he's free.
Okay. He thanks you for the tidbit and flies away. Okay.
So what happened, Orvar?
So I'll regale the crew of that I met certain individuals who want me to fight in an arena. I'm not sure if it's like the Coliseum per se, but it's definitely
The fighting pits?
I have
Oh, you don't want to do that, Orvar.
Well, I didn't see it. I'm offered a room. I have shown them. I got a key to the room. I got 10 gold. It seems like the man who gave me the gold isn't one to be trifled with. With but a word, he silenced these thugs that he's with, and he gave me a warning to return. So,
Orvar, every man that I've known who's gone into the arena combat, they never left the arena combat before they died. That was where they went to end their life.
I couldn't tell if I certainly wasn't kidnapped into this. I had the offer. I don't know if I refused what would have happened, but I was able to walk out of there. So we at least have one lead into the arenas.
Anything else? Did you win anything at the gambling tables?
No, I didn't gamble other than with potentially my life. I didn't gamble anything.
Yeah.
Well, I do think if you don't return, that will definitely be a gamble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'm on the hook for at least one fight.
At least, did they mention how many fights you were to do?
No, I didn't. Didn't like have terms with them, but I don't think it would have held up with any judiciary because I was drunk at the time. So I have to do this negotiating sober. So that'll be
As far
tomorrow.
as I know, the people that run that establishment have not seen my identity yet. We took care of the two that were trailing Lucaldo. By the way, two were trailing Lucaldo from the gambling house.
Opportunist, probably. I don't think that they were tied with whatever group you've got mixed into. If they were very low men on the totem pole.
No, these men were in.
Either way, they've disappeared.
Such is the way of the city. Prosperity is, as a soldier would say, progress. Okay. But
So when are you to be back?
in the morning, I'll return in the morning. I'm sure we could all sort of make our way in there if you want to go in before me or after me or what have you. I mean, potentially, I don't know if I'm going to bring in a friend or not, or I was come in by myself, but we'll see what
We
happens.
could switch roles, and
Try-
I could go in undisguised, and you guys could disguise outside and watch.
We need to find out where the fight is so we can be there.
Yes,
True.
that is true.
Yeah.
I'm
And
not
don't
going
worry,
anywhere.
my money
Yeah,
will
well-
be on you, my friend.
No,
Ah.
that's a good gamble. But I'm not going anywhere until we know where it is and what's up.
Did
I'm not going.
did
I'm
you
not
did
going
you see
blind.
any? Did you see any owls in that gambling house when you were in there?
Not that I could notice, but we were all like fully closed. The man in charge seemed to be a southerner, so well dressed southerner. And
Yeah.
he definitely had coin all across that table. So
Hmm.
Well, the bird told me that I'm pretty sure there was an office upstairs, and it has, as he put it, there were shiny things all over the desk. So I'm pretty sure that's the main office. Now I don't know if that's where the bear works out of, or his office was down on the, where you ran into him.
yeah, I don't know. I don't believe the bear is necessarily in charge. Possibly, but the southerner definitely had sway in that group.
The southerner had all the money. He's probably the one paying everybody to work there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out in the morning what is expected of me. I will not spend this coin just in case it seems too perilous, and I can give it back. To say it was a drunken mistake, and see how that goes. Or I go into the arena and make some more coin. We'll see.
And
Or
possibly
we could-
lead us towards the unsavory parts of it that we were looking for.
Yes, I haven't brooked the my distaste of the owls yet. We'll see what that happens. Possibly they would hire us to eliminate some of the vermin. We shall see. We shall see.
If we were to isolate the southerner in his own office, lock the door with him in the room, we might be able to find a few more names of a few more owls that way.
Possibly.
Mhm.
But I think that would be burning a bridge very completely and very quickly. Because we either kill him or we run from him afterwards.
Well, even if you do
Lucaldo, do you have a problem with killing him?
No, I mean, but again, if you do this, we'll just have to leave town, and I have no problem with leaving this town. And I've seen how Drogo likes this town. So
I don't.
exactly. So I'm not against it. I'm just saying we need to presume that burning bridges, if we do that, needs to be a plan versus an occurrence.
Well, Lucalo, you're more than welcome to be my handler when I go back to discuss the upcoming fight tomorrow, if you wish.
Okay.
Lucaldo, I'll remind you, this is a planning session that we're doing right now.
Oh, I'm not saying that your ideas don't have merit. I'm just like you said, we're planning this, and if we do plan to try to take out the Southerner or betray him or run away from him or do anything like that, I mean, let's we've got all night. Let's figure out what we want to do.
Okay. So
he
how
might
do go ahead?
he might be the most noble person in this entire encounter, so to speak, and lead us towards the people that we want to kill, that we had planned to kill before we started this morning, which would be the owls.
So far, he seems honorable to me. He gave me a coin, gave me a place to stay. Didn't get upset when I left. Just gave me a brief warning. You know, he controlled his man as best he could.
So he's either noble and or very powerful, and he has no problem in his mind of catching us later, or at least
I don't know if
catching
he's
you later.
noble. He's probably just a businessman. And from what I've noticed, civilized people aren't very noble.
I doubt he's that important if he's living out here.
Yeah, good point.
But like you said, he may be the lead we need to get our vengeance against those flying vermin.
Yeah, but you have to put him in a position where he's compromised and he has to tell us the truth.
Or I could just win a couple fights and then get into his good gracious.
Yep.
I think it'd be fine to hang out there and collect information for a while before we make our move. We don't have to do it right away. We don't have to make a move on anybody yet. We can still keep tracking, recording, gathering information.
Yep.
Yeah,
Very-
we don't
very
have to
good.
murder everybody we meet in the second day, so we can always wait a couple days before we murder them.
Yeah.
That makes you happy, Igor?
Well, I'd prefer not to murder people that don't have it coming.
I like how you think, Drogo.
We at least try to give people a chance to not open that door, right, Igor?
Hey, I'm indifferent on that. If it means we're going to do better in the big picture, then I'll be for it. If they deserve it, I'm for it.
If the odds are in our favor, I'm for it.
If the odds are in favor, I'm for it.
Just remember, Igor, we're not in the bog. We're in the city. We can't just throw some body in some peat and not see them for another 100 years. So we have to be careful.
I know where there's a harbor and a dock.
Fair enough.
All right, guys. So we are at time. We'll continue this deliberation offline and hopefully have a decision made by the time we come back. But good session. I very much appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and do the rounds here and ask folks to give me their basically their MVP for the day. Who they think was the goat there, and then also their favorite moment. Let's start with you, Igor.
My favorite moment was when we had a critical sausage hit to the face on the guy who was about to fight Orvar, but Orvar changed the outcome by being playful and hitting him with a sausage in the face. And that saved us some trouble. And it also means we can go back there and keep talking to those guys.
Excellent. And so as far as like who do you think gets like your VIP vote?
Well, I think for this session, I would give it to Orvar because he did an awful lot of role playing in that session and found out some things, got some money, and he did really well that time. And I also thought that Drogo's idea was really cool too, with the bird scouting ahead with that. I think that's going to be very useful to us going forward.
Excellent. Cool. Luke Aldo.
Well, it was certainly the Orvar episode of this series, which I enjoyed a lot. It was very good. Um, the phrase "I'm going to whip my sausage at him" is we're just not going to let that one die.
That's awesome. All right, and who's your MVP?
Orvar, that's what I meant. Yeah,
All right, cool.
it was the Orvar episode. There's no denying it, and it turned out wonderful.
Wonderful. All right, Ace Gear.
Again, this was a very Orvar focused session, so I'll put the MVP to Orvar, but it's mostly because of the quantity of role playing he did, not just the quality of it, because I think everybody played quite well. Favorite moment was actually the pigeon's report of what he'd seen.
That's always one I lay when play D&D. I want to speak with animals. I'm like, you realize he's still a squirrel.
Yeah. It's not going to give you a doctoral dissertation on what it saw.
Yeah.
There are exactly 350 gold coins. 3 of them are from the Great Kingdom. The other. All right, Orvar, how about you?
I thought I really liked how Igor is really trying to hide his identity, just like being like Kenny, all like bundled up and then his shield wrapped up. Drogo did, I thought, really, really well with getting his pigeon, looking for the manager, and having my back was like awesome. Like that he actually came to like come find me was a big deal for me. So I'd give my MVP to Drogo. And my favorite moment was Lucago just like slashing that chick. I mean, man, that guy's ruthless. I did not expect that. That's why I was like, holy.
Yeah, no hand slap or anything. Just
dagger to the wrist. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Igor forgot to ask Lucaldo what happened with that when they got back to the room. Like, some lady was grabbing her wrist when she walked out complaining about you. What happened in there?
Does this point to some dark past of Lucaldo?
He got fresh with me.
All right. Drogo.
I think our favorite moment, of course, the sausage slap. MVP has to be 50-50, Orvar and Lucaldo, just because the quick work with the knife was kind of humorous and probably taught her a lesson. But I mean, the sausage to the face, that will never die. May become a battle cry in the future, sausage to the faces.
No, it's still going to be badger to the face. Sorry.
All right. So for me, honestly, sausage takes the cake. But more so, I really like. I mean, even like Ace Gear, you didn't get a lot of role play time, but I do like the amount. I like how you guys are approaching this. How you're being very procedural in this particular aspect. I mean, you didn't go charging in. Orvar, you diffused the situation and didn't go cutting down on a henchman right away. Igor, your willingness as a player to just post up outside and play that part, I mean that's cool. A lot of players will insist on trying to force their way into a scene just so they out of some fear of missing out or whatever. I appreciate that everybody was cool, just kind of being patient and waiting for their moment, even if necessarily the scene didn't provide everybody exactly a moment. I felt like you were all ready to do your part regardless, and that was awesome. The sausage. I just read a nerd's nerd comment out of the corner of my eye. I was just trying to say that last part. Drogo's idea with the pigeon, that's awesome. It's cool to see the Beastmaster progress because that's where he becomes useful. And he can fight, but also just the whole animal thing. And further down the line, I'm sure Ace Gear will get in more trouble here, considering you're kind of in his element.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, great role playing and great group dynamics. I really appreciate it. And with that, hope everybody enjoyed watching. I appreciate everybody who came out and checked it out. I think at one point we had 8 people watching. That's cool. lots of familiar faces, including the Dungeon Minister. So welcome, welcome. And on that note, everybody have a good one. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks for another session, and we'll see what kind of trouble these ne'er-do-wells can get into. Night, folks.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.